Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel where we tackle real-life challenges with practical solutions that actually work. Today, I'm going to share transformative methods to help you deal with those difficult neighbor interactions that make so many of us uncomfortable. Whether you're struggling with social anxiety, dealing with awkward encounters in your building hallway, or simply don't know how to navigate these unique relationships, I've got proven strategies that will change your entire approach to neighborly connections. Let me guess, you've probably experienced some of these situations. Maybe you've taken the stairs instead of the elevator just to avoid running into that chatty neighbor from the third floor. Perhaps you've pretended to be on a phone call when you saw someone approaching in the parking lot. Or maybe you've been stuck in an uncomfortable conversation, desperately looking for an escape route while your neighbor shares their entire life story. You might have even considered moving to a different building just to escape the daily stress of these interactions. Trust me, I completely understand these feelings, and you're definitely not alone in experiencing them. The amazing thing is that millions of people struggle with the exact same neighbor-related anxieties, yet nobody really talks about it. We all pretend everything's fine while secretly planning our grocery runs around times when we're least likely to encounter anyone. But here's what I've discovered. The methods I'm sharing today have helped countless individuals transform their neighbor relationships from sources of stress into manageable, even pleasant, parts of their daily lives. These aren't theoretical concepts from psychology textbooks. These are real, tested strategies that people just like you have used to completely change their comfort levels with neighbor interactions. Before we dive into the solutions, let's quickly understand why neighbor relationships feel so uniquely challenging. First, unlike friends or coworkers, neighbors exist in this strange middle ground. They're not quite strangers, but they're not exactly friends either. This ambiguity creates confusion about what level of interaction is appropriate. Should you stop and chat every time you see them? Is a quick nod enough? Nobody really teaches us these social rules, so we're left guessing and often feeling anxious about getting it wrong. Second, there's the proximity factor. These are people you can't easily avoid because you literally live next to each other. With coworkers, you leave the office and get a break. With friends, you choose when to meet. But neighbors? They're always there, which can create a feeling of being trapped or constantly observed. This involuntary closeness amplifies any social anxiety you might already have. Third, many of us carry past negative experiences or cultural differences that make these interactions even more complex. Maybe you had a terrible neighbor in your last apartment who made your life miserable. Perhaps you come from a culture where neighbor relationships are handled very differently. These invisible barriers can feel impossible to overcome, but they're actually more manageable than you might think. Now, let's get into the practical methods that will transform your neighbor interactions starting today. These aren't complicated psychological techniques or expensive solutions. They're simple, actionable strategies you can implement immediately. The first method is what I call the Gradual Greeting Method, and it's perfect for those who feel overwhelmed by sudden social interactions. Here's exactly how it works. Starting tomorrow morning, when you see a neighbor, simply make brief eye contact and give a small nod. That's it, no words, no stopping, just acknowledgement. Do this for one full week. I know it might feel uncomfortable at first, but here's the science behind it. Research from a major university showed that repeated exposure to mild social interactions actually reduces anxiety over time. Your brain literally rewires itself to see these moments as less threatening. In week 2, add a brief smile to your nod. Again, no need for words yet. Just that visual acknowledgement with a friendly expression. By week 3, you can progress to saying a simple, hi, or, good morning, without stopping to chat. The beauty of this method is that it builds your confidence gradually. One person who used this technique reported that after just 1 month, greeting neighbors became as automatic as brushing their teeth. They said the anxiety that used to make their heart race completely disappeared. The key success tip here is to practice your greeting in the mirror beforehand. It sounds silly, but muscle memory is powerful. When you've rehearsed the motion and expression, your body knows what to do even when your mind feels nervous. The second powerful technique is the 3-minute conversation strategy. This one's a game changer for people who get trapped in lengthy, draining conversations. Here's the exact process. Before you leave your apartment, prepare 2 or 3 safe conversation topics. Local events work great. Did you hear about the street fair next weekend? Weather changes are always reliable. Can you believe how cold it got suddenly? Community updates are perfect. I noticed they're finally fixing the entrance lighting. When you encounter a neighbor, you deploy one of these topics, but here's the crucial part. You set a mental timer for 3 minutes maximum. Use your phone vibration if you need a physical reminder. After 3 minutes, you gracefully exit with phrases like, "Well, I should get going. Have a great day," or, "I need to run, but it was nice chatting." The psychological benefit here is enormous. When you know there's a defined endpoint, conversations become much less stressful. You're not wondering how long you'll be stuck there. You're in control. A research study found that brief, positive social interactions actually boost mood and energy, while prolonged unwanted conversations drain both. By keeping things short and sweet, you get the benefits without the exhaustion. One person shared that this method completely changed their daily routine. They used to leave for work 20 minutes early just to avoid morning encounters. Now, they have pleasant 3-minute chats that actually energize them for the day ahead. The third essential tool is the boundary setting framework. This is especially important for those dealing with intrusive or overly friendly neighbors. Start by spending 10 minutes defining your personal comfort zones. How often are you comfortable interacting? Daily? Weekly? What topics are off limits for you? Personal finances? Family problems? Health issues? Write these down. Having them clear in your mind makes them easier to maintain. Next, practice boundary enforcing phrases. "I need to get back to work now" is perfect for home office situations. "Thanks for chatting, but I have to go" works anytime. "I prefer to keep that private" handles personal questions. Practice saying these out loud until they feel natural. Your body language is equally important. When you're ready to end an interaction, take a small step back, glance at your watch or phone, or shift your body toward your destination. These subtle signals communicate your intention without seeming rude. The effectiveness of clear boundaries is remarkable. A community study found that neighbors actually prefer clarity over ambiguity. When you're consistent with your boundaries, people quickly learn what to expect. There's no confusion or hurt feelings because everyone knows where they stand. Someone who implemented this framework reported that their most difficult neighbor, who used to knock on their door daily, now respects their space and only interacts during planned community events. The fourth technique, the common ground method, works brilliantly for creating comfortable connection points without oversharing. Spend 5 to 10 minutes each week observing shared interests. Does your neighbor have a dog? Garden? Wear sports team merchandise? These become your conversation anchors. When you see them, make brief comments about these neutral topics. "Your roses are looking amazing this year," or "How's your dog doing after the vet visit?" or "Tough game last night, wasn't it?" The psychology here is fascinating. When conversations center on shared interests rather than personal lives, both parties feel more comfortable. You're discussing something external, which removes the pressure of self-disclosure. A major research institution found that conversations about shared interests create stronger positive associations than personal discussions among acquaintances. This means you can build friendly relationships without feeling invasive or invaded. One success story involved someone who discovered their neighbor was into vintage cars. By occasionally asking about the restoration project, they built a friendly rapport based entirely on this one topic. No personal details were ever exchanged, yet both looked forward to their brief car-focused chats. The neighbor even started texting photos of progress, creating a positive connection that required minimal face-to-face interaction. Method 5, the written communication option, is a lifesaver for introverts and anyone dealing with conflict situations. Here's how to implement it effectively. Get a pack of simple note cards or sticky notes. When you need to communicate something, a package delivery, a noise issue, maintenance concerns, write a brief, friendly note instead of knocking on their door. Keep the tone light and positive. Hi, FedEx left a package for you at my place. I'll leave it by your door at 6 p.m. Have a great day. Apartment 4B. The beauty of written communication is that it gives both parties time to process and respond thoughtfully. There's no pressure for immediate reactions or awkward face-to-face discussions. It's particularly effective for addressing problems. Hi neighbor, I have an early meeting tomorrow. Would you mind keeping the music down after 10 p.m.? Thanks so much for understanding, is much easier to write than say. Research shows that written communication reduces conflict escalation by 70% compared to verbal confrontations. People are more considerate and solution-focused when writing. One person shared that they resolved a year-long parking dispute with a simple friendly note that would have been impossible to deliver verbally without emotional charge. The neighbor responded positively, and they developed a written communication rhythm that worked perfectly for both introverts. The sixth and final method is the energy management system, crucial for maintaining sustainable neighbor relationships without burning out. This starts with strategic scheduling. Identify your building's high traffic times and plan around them. If the mailbox area gets crowded at 5 p.m., check your mail at 4:30 or 5:30. If weekend mornings see everyone doing laundry, do yours on weekday evenings. This isn't avoidance, it's smart energy conservation. Next, implement the interaction recovery ratio. For every neighbor interaction, give yourself equal recovery time. Had a 5-minute chat? Take 5 minutes of quiet time afterward. This prevents social exhaustion and maintains your emotional balance. Create a reward system for successful interactions. After handling a difficult neighbor situation well, treat yourself to something enjoyable, your favorite coffee, a short walk, a few minutes of your favorite music. This positive reinforcement rewires your brain to associate neighbor interactions with rewards rather than stress. A psychological study found that introverts who implemented energy management strategies reported 50% less social fatigue and actually increased their social interactions because they felt more in control. One person described it perfectly. I used to hide from neighbors because every interaction drained me. Now I have pleasant exchanges because I know I've built in recovery time. It's completely changed my home life. Let me give you some additional pro tips that make these methods even more effective. First, remember that most neighbors are just as unsure about appropriate interaction levels as you are. They're not judging you as harshly as you imagine. That awkward pause? They probably feel it too. That conversation that felt forced? They likely struggled with it as well. This shared uncertainty actually bonds you more than you realize. Second, cultural differences can be navigated with simple acknowledgement. I'm still learning the neighborhood customs, or, where I grew up, neighbors did things differently, opens doors for understanding without lengthy explanations. People appreciate honesty about cultural navigation. Third, if you're dealing with a genuinely difficult or toxic neighbor, these methods still apply but with stricter boundaries. Document any harassment, involve property management when necessary, and remember that you're not obligated to engage with anyone who makes you feel unsafe. Your well-being always comes first. Let me summarize the key action points we've covered today. First, start with gradual greetings to build comfort slowly. Next, keep all conversations to 3 minutes maximum to maintain control. Then, set clear boundaries and communicate them consistently. Also, find common ground topics that feel safe and neutral. Additionally, use written notes when verbal communication feels overwhelming. Finally, manage your energy with strategic scheduling and recovery time. The most important thing to remember is that you don't need to transform overnight. Pick just one method that resonates with you and try it this week. Maybe start with the gradual greeting, or prepare one safe conversation topic. Small steps lead to significant changes. Within a month, you'll notice a dramatic shift in your comfort level with neighbor interactions. After watching this video, I challenge you to take one small action today. It could be as simple as making eye contact with a neighbor you usually avoid, or writing a friendly note instead of having a stressful conversation. Remember, it's perfectly okay if it feels uncomfortable at first. Every expert was once a beginner. Every confident neighbor handler once struggled with these same anxieties. The difference is they took that first small step. Discomfort is temporary, but the confidence you'll build lasts forever. Imagine walking through your building without that knot in your stomach. Picture yourself having pleasant, brief exchanges that actually brighten your day. Envision handling difficult neighbors with calm confidence. This isn't just a dream, it's completely achievable with the methods I've shared today. If today's content was helpful, please hit the like button so others dealing with neighbor challenges can find these solutions. And if you want more practical life strategies that actually work, please subscribe to our channel. We're building a community of people who face life's challenges head-on with smart, practical solutions. Let's solve problems together and make daily life more manageable for everyone. Remember, every neighbor interaction is a chance to practice these new skills. You're not aiming for perfection, you're aiming for progress. Be patient with yourself, celebrate small victories, and know that thousands of others are on this same journey with you. You've got this, and I'm rooting for your success. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we tackle another real-life challenge with practical solutions. Until then, take that first small step toward more comfortable neighbor relationships. You won't regret it.